Hello. So I'm shooting this video before the upcoming video, which is episode 2 of the Best in the Business podcast, as kind of a disclaimer. Why are we doing that? Because we basically, we did lose like half of our video that we shot. Super upsetting. Usually we being my brother and myself. My brother was not available. He had work or he was sick, and he just couldn't make it. And Amy has a super busy schedule. And me being a little bit naive to the process and, maybe not appreciating what my brother brings to the podcast, thought that we could just kind of truck ahead and do it. I did have someone help me, but he is never done anything like this. And he was kind of put in an impossible situation. And he's just breaking in. He's a brand new real estate agent, and he kind of just yes-manned it. He helped as much as he could, but it wasn't very much. So basically we lost our wide shot, half of that, through the whole video. Even so, the wide shot that we do have has the ring light in the shot. And the shot of Amy, we pretty much lost most of that until the very end. Now, I'm giving the disclaimer because I think the conversation is fantastic. It sounds great. She's an awesome guest, had some great stories, and is an awesome, great ambassador for the Schramm's Flowers and Gifts, for her own product and for the community as a whole. She hangs out the whole time in her walleye sweater. It's a great interview. I just wanted to give you the heads up, so while you're going through it, that's what happened. I still wanted to post it. But yeah, now we're conscious of those things. I've been humbled very early, which needs to happen so that I can produce the product that I want for you guys to help highlight these individuals the best way we can. So very soon, I would like to get Amy back on so that we can show her in the best light possible. But until then, go do the dishes or something, put it on, but maybe don't watch it or watch some of it. But no, it's still pretty good. We sound great. She's awesome, and we have some really fun stories that we share, and she has a few in particular that really kind of blew me away. So without further ado, here is Schramm's Flowers and Gifts, episode 2 of the Best in the Business podcast. So thanks a lot. Bye. Oh, it's in 3? Okay, that's fine.
Turn it up to 11.
There you go. Can you hear now? Are you sure? Wow. Alrighty. Tech Guy's happy again. Here we go. Let's get started. This is the Best in the Business podcast. We are at Schramm's Flowers today. I'm super excited about it. You guys are busy. I've been trying to get in here for about a week. We got a few things lined up this week, and they were all just like, yeah, dude, whenever works. And, you're a busy bee, though. So, we've had a handful of customers come through since we've been here. I guess if you want to just introduce yourself and let everyone that doesn't know, that should know where you guys are at and how long you've been here, and yeah.
Okay, well, it's Schramm's Flowers and Gifts.
Yeah.
We are at 3205 West Central Avenue,
Mm-hmm.
right across the street from SIP in Cricket
Yeah.
West. We have been in this spot about 12 years.
Okay.
We were at Cricket West before that.
Just next door.
Yeah, just
Okay.
next door. But we just celebrated our 150th anniversary.
That's so cool.
So, yeah.
And they were in Cricket West that long before you guys
No, they
moved?
They actually started down on Cherry Street.
Okay.
So they were there, and they were a full-service greenhouse. So they
Awesome.
grew everything. And then they were on Bancroft Street for a while, and then at Cricket West, and we've been over here for a while.
That's cool. So they had like big potted plants
Yep.
and whatnot.
Yep.
I just can't imagine. What part of Cherry do you know?
You know what? I'm not really sure where down there.
So we have a mutual friend. For those that don't know, and that don't know already, that I'm a realtor. Her husband is my preferred inspector, and one of my first jobs out of high school, I worked at a local place called Black Diamond.
Oh, sure.
So when JP and I are out and about, and he's like, "I think it's this flower," I'll be like, "Well, I think it's this flower."
And you were probably both wrong.
And then, right, so I'm sure you've had it happen a handful of times where he'll be like, "We'll ask the boss," and then he'll shoot a picture. I'll be like, "What is this thing?" And it's like a squirt little like magnolia tree or something like
Right,
that.
yeah.
That's cool. So you guys, this time of year, it's for us in our business, it's just slowing down. The saying in the business typically is that people don't want to move when there's turkey on the table or a tree in the corner, which kind of just makes sense.
Yeah.
You're shopping and shopping, getting all this stuff together, and then to get up and move. But there's something kind of cool for the folks that do move. Like myself personally, we moved. It's a different situation, but we closed on our house Christmas Eve, and we had our son January 7th.
Oh,
Yeah.
geez, you guys are nuts.
Yeah, we threaded the needle on that.
Yeah.
So, but what's business like for you guys this time of year? I mean, I see like the wreaths and all that stuff around. It's very festive in here.
Yeah. You know what? Things are getting ramped up for the holidays.
Yeah.
Over the summer, we've got events, we've got weddings. So that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
We've got lots of homecomings and actually a lot of fall weddings.
Mm-hmm.
And now we are just starting to go crazy with all of the holiday stuff. So
What all do you guys like offer as far as like do you guys do like tree decorations, or is it just like
we don't go into people's homes anymore. We've done that previously.
Sure.
But we decorate wreaths for people. We do a lot of like grave blankets and cemetery
Okay.
pieces
Yeah.
for this time of year. A lot of what we call porch pots,
Mm-hmm.
where we have customers that will bring in their outdoor pots, and
Yeah.
we fill them up with greens and decorations, and we can really do just about anything.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And like we were saying when we were getting set up here, when you're not a part of the world, you don't really think about it because a lot of folks, the grave blankets and things like that, not everyone does. My family does it for my grandfather. I think, where's he at? He's over right next to Jesu.
Okay.
Big old cemetery. I can't remember
Right.
what it is off the top of my head. But anyway, you don't think about that stuff until you're kind of in the world. Like we were setting up and you were like, yeah, we do a lot of meetings for, wedding planning, but also funerals. And I'm like, what? It doesn't make sense to
Right.
me. But, when you're here, I mean, it would just kind of make sense to be like, hey, what kind of, what flowers that they like kind of thing, I'm assuming is kind of what they get into.
Yeah.
And you don't really think about like flower stuff as far as like customer service until you're like sitting here kind of getting through it, because you got to have a little bit of
Exactly.
tact for that kind of stuff, you'd think, right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, flowers, it can be so emotional.
Sure.
And you don't realize, like you said, you don't realize it until you're in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
But especially with funerals or memorial services, because a lot of people will have favorite flowers or flowers that they associate with
Like a mood or something. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and sometimes you have to navigate, among family members about what everybody really wants, and
Sure.
it can be really emotional.
I can imagine so. We got something for my uncle who passed a couple years ago, and it's just little stuff like that. Like he had a big arrangement. I can't remember off the top of my head where my grandparents got it from, but like all of us kids were kind of in the arrangement, just picking stuff out,
Yeah.
to kind of take with us and kind of
Yeah.
remember the day kind of thing. So yeah, I totally agree with that. You ever have like, when you get like strange requests, because I'm like just kind of, my brother was married. They got married in New Orleans on Halloween. So that's like just kind of a bridge
Right,
between the
that's
two
fun.
worlds, right?
That is so much
A
fun.
lot of like sugar skulls and everybody kind of wore black.
Right.
So do you ever have like strange requests like that where it's like, can we try and marry something weird? And how much room is there for creativity when people kind of send orders in?
Well, as long as the customer's open to it, I
Yeah.
mean, there's lots of places that we can be creative.
Sure.
Yeah, crazy stuff. I think the funnest thing that we ever did is we do all the florals and arrangements for the Barefoot at the Beach event.
Okay.
For the Boys and Girls
Yeah.
Club. And we are so lucky because we find out what their colors are, we find out what the invitations look like,
Yeah.
and then we can kind of have free reign.
That's
and we
cool.
get to be so creative. And 2 years ago, it was a pirate theme.
That's neat.
So we got to do all kinds of things with skulls and piratey stuff.
How fun is that?
It's a lot of fun, and it's a phenomenal cause.
It is
So-
cool. You guys do a lot of community outreach. I mean, I know between that and then I get spoiled here and there by doing some golf outings that you guys
Right.
sponsor.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you guys kind of get involved with otherwise that?
We do even though I don't know if I can say their name, but Danbury.
That's okay.
We do the Danbury Treasure Chest event.
Yeah.
And when I worked for Children's Hospital, I was part of the treasure chest.
That's cool.
So I got to see exactly where the money went and how they spent it. And it's really near and dear to my heart.
What does that program will kind of like get into? I'm not really even privy.
What they do is that money supports the families that have children that are in the hospital.
Okay.
So, you don't think about it, but if you've got a kid in the hospital, somebody's got to be there. A parent has to be there with them. So either they can't work, they lose their job, or, they're not getting paid. Electricity gets turned off.
Sure.
They can't pay water bills. They can't pay for medication. And the social workers are involved.
Yeah.
And, kind of hook up where the funds need to go. And it's just a great support for families that have kids that are sick.
That's neat. We have, off the top of my head, one of my god kids, he was born with 3 holes in his heart.
Oh, geez.
So they were in a very similar situation to that.
Right.
And they got some aid, and I can only assume it's from a program like that. I was much younger. I was probably, I don't know about much younger, but I was like early 20s. So like that world was still foreign to me.
Yeah.
But no, this is a Kyle podcast. I mean, I fly the flag. I am Remax, but Danbury does a lot of cool stuff in the community. I mean, like that last week. So my aunt, she is a retired special needs teacher. She used to live in Tampa.
Oh, wow.
We bought her a house last year up here because my grandparents are getting older and she just wanted to be closer to home. But she's still kind of plugged into that community, like the disabilities and things like that. So there's a center up on Monroe Street called oh my goodness, it's like the Adventure Center or something like that.
The Ability Center?
Ability Center, there it is.
Yeah. Oh, they do great work.
Yeah, they're amazing. And it's another thing, like I've lived in West Toledo my whole life. And I've driven past that place hundreds of times. And you would think like just from like driving by, it's probably the size of like this little strip that you guys are in. Right. But it's like a campus back there. It is. And so she sent me this flyer, and it was put on by Danbury, and it's like to have realtors come in and just rub elbows with the staff and some people that have certain disabilities to kind of see what they're looking for in housing. Okay. And in my brain, I'm like, man, it's just another class, blah, blah, blah. I didn't know it was what it was until I got there. So we get there, and I am I'm the only Remax agent there, and the other 12 people are all Danbury people. So they're all kind of looking at me like, how did this kid catch wind of this stuff, So, and then me being me, I dive right in. So like they're showing us how like some of the motorized scooters and things that they have. This one guy who was in one, like he needed it and was just disabled, and he was like, "This one's kind of like the Rolls Royce, man. Like this is like $55,000 to $60,000." Oh, jeez. I know. I'm like, not even. You wouldn't think they're that. Like they're like pricey, but not like that. And he's like, "Yeah, you just want to bunny that thing up a little bit." And I'm like, "Bunny it up? What? Like this is like a big piece of like lawn equipment. Like what are we?" So we get going, and I'm like, "Dude, this thing goes. It was going. You can get up to like 15 miles an hour." Oh wow! We were having fun with it. But it was cool. So then, like, the other place that they have back there is they have, like, dog training. Okay. So they have dog training, and it's for, like...
therapy dog?
Exactly. So, like, they're therapy dogs, and what they do is kind of get, like, kids that are, like, have special needs to whatever degree or whatever they need. But it kind of helps them get into the groove of just, being in sport. Like, for, like, kids that don't have those restrictions, they just, like, my son's almost 3, and he's already been through 2 sessions of soccer practice. But a kid that is, like, maybe more... timid about getting out there and socializing and things like that, he doesn't want to do it, but this, like, having the dog companion helps a lot. Oh yeah. And they double as service dogs too, which is kind of cool. But they do like hard coaching, I guess, and they say that there's like different like, what is it, oh my gosh, my brain, events that go on every weekend. Like an hour or so away, like they're that popular. Oh wow. Yeah, so and they just do stuff like that and have people come in. But yeah, Danbury does a good job of things for the community. Not that we don't. We're pretty involved with Children's Miracle Network. We do a lot of stuff with that. But just firsthand because I was there last week. And I got to play basketball in a wheelchair.
Oh, how was that?
It was so challenging. Let me tell you, oh my goodness. Like you think, like you see other folks doing it and you're like, that can't be that hard. Like they're not running,
Right.
you know, like it's just they're rolling around out there, and then you get in there and someone who's like there's an athlete in here somewhere. Me and Tyler were talking about it when we were outside. Like I lettered in 3 sports. I got my karate black belt when I was like 14.
Oh, geez.
And we were doing that as a whole different monster, because like you have to change the way you think of everything. If someone threw me a basketball, I'm like, let's play. Like, okay, I'll just try and shoot it. I'm not good, but you know, I have like the general idea. We gotta like set it on your lap, and you gotta like roll around, and then you gotta stop, and then you gotta shoot. Like
wow.
it's a lot, and it was a lot of fun though. It's something that I'm super happy I got to do. There was a woman there for like for the news, and I asked her, I was like, hey, well, I know you kind of just set it and forget it kind of thing. Like, here's my phone. Can you take some shots of me? You know? So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun stuff like that. Do you guys get into any, like, I know you said barefoot at the beach, and then you do the other things like that, but do you guys have like, maybe like customer appreciation things where you like sample things out or do anything like that, or just like coupons, or like I know Groupon used to be a big thing, but that's not like a thing anymore. So
yeah, we don't do that. We have gift certificates and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely, and gift cards and that kind of stuff.
And we were getting into it a little bit, talking about big walleye fan.
Oh yeah, big walleye.
I mean, you got it on your shirt here now. You know, you're sporting them. So we were talking about you guys wanting to get the poundy box. You kind of been licking your chops looking at that.
Oh, absolutely. The Schramm's Flowers penalty box.
That'd be so much fun. How long have you guys been? Are you guys full season ticket holders, or do you guys like share them? Or
we're full season ticket holders. Okay. We've had them, I want to say probably 5 years now.
Yeah.
And then prior to that, I had like the smaller package.
Sure.
That I had. So
is it just something that you guys are like, let's do hockey, or is there like a real love for it?
You know what? It's not even necessarily. It's the walleye hockey.
Yeah.
We're not big hockey followers.
Sure.
We don't follow other hockey teams. There is just something that's so much fun at the games and just within the community, and like we have it's like a little neighborhood. In our seats, and
you get to know all the other ticket holders.
You get to know everybody, and actually, our immediate neighbors in our seats, they're getting married on the Zamboni.
Oh, really?
February.
How fun!
Yes, it is going to be so cool. Yeah, so they're going to get married in the Zamboni, and
it's a cool culture. Like you guys have lent me your tickets before, and everybody kind of side eyes us, like, right? Why the usher let these people down, kind of thing. And I have clients that are just as diehard. Like she missed work yesterday to go see the game.
Oh yeah.
Like she is obsessed. She loves her T-Town hockey.
Yeah.
But it's certainly a cool culture. Like you telling me that they're getting married on the Zamboni is not surprising.
Yeah.
Because you guys have like your own little these are our people kind of thing.
Absolutely, and it's interesting because the team is always changing.
Yeah.
Because they've got people coming in and out and in and out.
Yeah. Hi. Up, down, and sideways.
Right, and players are always changing. But they're still walleye players, regardless of if they're new or if they've been there, and it's just.
And you'll get that you see that with like mud hens too.
Yeah.
Like you'll see someone who's like an Angels fan, and they'll be like, that guy used to be a mud hen.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and they have such a cool venue down there now. Like it used to be. I remember when I was growing up before, even when Fifth Third Field first got there, it was still kind of like you just go to the ballpark and then you just go back to your car and you leave because it's like just keep my head down.
When it was at the Ned Skelton Stadium when they used to play there?
Yeah,
that's where they were. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
when they would play there,
I could imagine. So I mean, and I didn't get to go and appreciate the sports arena. People always talk about Storm hockey was so different, and we didn't get. I mean, I went to a few games, and then I'd go my brother who's 9 years older than me. He played for Central Catholic, and they'd play down there sometimes, and we would go down there and be like, "Oh, this is so cool! My big brother's playing at the big stadium," and it was fun. But we never got to hear how the way people talk about "Oh, dude, it was just greasy."
Yes. Well, one of the first games we were at, and these new seats that we just got a couple years ago. JP got smacked in the face with a puck.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bad. And, other people sitting around were like, oh yeah, you should have been, at the
back in my day,
back in the day when there weren't even, there wasn't even the plexiglass up and everybody was getting smacked in the face.
I always feel bad about stuff like that because like you want to add a story, you know,
Right.
and like feel like you're a part of it too, but also you don't want to like, you know, belittle somebody's plight.
Right.
Like I just got hit in the face with a puck. I don't care how it was 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that was a cruel introduction.
I can imagine. So how long that was? That was a couple years ago, I think, if I remember right.
Yeah.
That's funny. That almost happened not to us, but at the same spot. Like because I remember telling him about it, and that's how he introduced me to that story. I was like, "Yeah, dude, we were sitting there, puck just went right overhead." And he was like, "Yeah, I caught one of those one time with my face."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Dude, that's not cool." I was like, "Seriously?" And he's like, "No, yeah, like it was bad."
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, like the area that we're at, the seats are amazing because
Oh, yeah.
because you've got extra leg room, and like one because they're the seats that they take out when they've got concerts and stuff.
Yeah.
So they're mobile. They move them around, and so we've got lots of extra room. But we're just kind of at that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Where if the pucks are coming,
Right at the
there's
foul
nothing.
line.
Yeah, there's nothing to
Yeah.
stop 'em. So.
That's yeah. It's so much fun though. That place is just a blast. Every time I go down there, I have fun. They do. I don't know who like the person is that's like the master of ceremonies for either mud hens or walleye, but they just keep it fun. It just feels like a breath of fresh air every time
Yeah.
you go. Like baseball, I played baseball through high school, and when the Tigers were good, which was a while ago, I could sit and watch a 3-hour game no problem. But now that I'm older and busy, it's like, dude, there's no way.
Right, that's a big
But-
chunk of your day.
But going like your point, going to a game, whether it's walleye or a baseball game, having that big, tall, foamy $9-11 beer
Right,
and a bag of peanuts or something.
it's $15 now.
Is it? Oh gosh, inflation is crazy. I guess I should know. I mean, we're both in business, right?
Right,
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Prices are not going down anywhere. So.
No, and that's kind of how that's what we're running into right now is like building. The inventory is just going to stay low because building's so expensive.
Okay.
Because like wood and concrete and all
Sure.
that stuff.
Is it still as bad as it was
It's
like right after COVID?
it's still high, but nothing's really changed, and no one's really building as much unless they kind of get like impatient
Okay.
and they just want their own place to call theirs. But I mean, things are still expensive. For example, there was a place that I was looking at with some clients a couple months ago. It was like, just by example, I mean, you've bought your house, you know what like the price per square foot is for a nice home. This place was 1,500 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bathrooms, in Point Place, which Point Place isn't bad, but it's not like the Ritz. 1,500 square feet. They're talking about $375.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So
Wow.
some developer just bought the end of like a street, added onto it, and put these houses up. And it's not that they're bad houses, but like he has to pay himself back.
Right. Sure.
So it's like, and I don't know that those houses have gotten sold or not because I haven't like looked back at them. But that's kind of the market. The market's very complicated right now.
Is it getting any better? Is there?
I don't know that it's even like bad. The problem right now is inventory.
Okay.
Because nothing can get built because things are so expensive. It's like the normal inflation that you're seeing at the grocery store hits our area too. But because of that, with like materials and things, it's adding to the inflation of just homes. Right? Because there's nothing that I can just go build. Maybe I would have been in a building kind of market, a few years ago. Now, if you list your house, because there's nothing else out there, even though rates are, higher than they normally are, you're still going to get multiple offers on your house because there's just such a demand for it.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. I did a video the other day that said basically if rates dip, it's going to be like Black Friday.
Oh, jeez.
Because there's going to be so many more buyers in the market. And it's already like depending on strategy, like I'm getting houses with like seller paid closing costs, which during the spring or summertime is kind of unusual. But with the right strategy, I'm still selling houses in a weekend.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just you price them accordingly, and there's like that demand is there, and rent is at all-time highs. So
Yeah, rent is just
it's crazy. I think average rent right now in our area is like $1,400.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Just like by comparison, earlier in the year, I closed a $165,000 house, minimum down, same number. And that's a decent house for a first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
That's
a nice house.
Yeah. So it's like, do you want to pay someone else's mortgage for $1,400, which is a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like for rent. But yeah, so I mean, that's just kind of our world? Where do you guys see any of that stuff? Like, what does like flower inflation look
What's
like?
it? Um, you know what? Luckily, we are still. I mean, we're still very busy.
Yeah.
And so, we're doing great. But yeah, prices are up, and you just have to get really creative with how what you design and what flowers you
Yeah.
use, and yeah, you just we're really lucky here because most of what we do is custom.
Sure.
Like most of the designs and the arrangements that we do
Yeah.
are custom, so we can work with customers with budgets and unless they're just dead set on a certain flower, then there's usually other flowers that are in the same colors and stuff.
Yeah.
Which we're really lucky that we can do that. There's we had a gentleman that called the other day and wanted some very specific, flowers that were, I think, like $38 a stem.
Oh wow.
And he wanted 20, I think 25 years of 25th anniversary. And it just, 4 years ago, it
Sure.
would have been half that.
That's crazy.
But people don't realize that these flowers, most of the flowers aren't grown around here.
Right.
So you've got shipping and trucking and all this stuff that's it all
just adds up.
filters into the price.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
And that's so. Where do you guys get a bulk of your stuff from? You're good. Keep going.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Thank you.
Yeah. We'll be on YouTube. Check us out. That was just the mail guy.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to edit that out because whatever. We're in your store.
He's a good guy.
He seems like a good guy.
He's a good guy.
He hit the brakes real quick when he saw the cameras.
So we're really lucky. We've got a fair amount of local flower farms.
Oh, cool.
That during the summer and early fall we can get a lot of stuff from. The main two that I use there's one called Barn Swallow Farms.
Okay.
That's just in Grand Rapids, Ohio here. And then Forget Me Not Farms, that's just right over the Michigan border.
Yeah.
And their products phenomenal. Their prices are great. And a couple times a week we see them, so that is wonderful. But a lot of stuff comes in from Ecuador, through
Oh, wow.
Miami. It's funny because a lot of these flowers that we get, you don't realize that they're kind of almost freeze dried. They're dry packed. So, we've got to get them and rehydrate them.
Right.
So, it's fun to do like a time lapse of one of these roses that comes in and it's all shriveled, and then
That'd be a fun little video to do.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Just set like a camera up and just set it and forget it.
Yeah.
And then just like super fast forward it.
Yeah, it's interesting. So
because I know when I was doing the Black Diamond thing, it used to be one of the fun days. Because like you get to work in other retail stores and you're like, oh, it's truck day.
Yeah.
Something about plant truck day is just so fun. Like they get them on these wheelie carts and spin around in the truck and shoot them out the back. And you just don't know what you're getting. Especially when we were like it's a full nursery there, so we were getting like big plants, we were getting little shrubs, we were getting perennials, annuals, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, so we got hip to like the freezing of it. Like we would get them in there, and then we'd hurry up and get the buds frozen and things like that, and then get them into the greenhouse. And you just don't think about that stuff. You're just kind of going like, I want some flowers, please.
Exactly.
Do you guys have to do any of that like on the back end here, or do you just like they come like kind of ready to go?
We have to process everything.
Sure.
And there's certain things that you do for certain flowers to process them so that they last longer. We do a lot with house plants.
Okay.
And they take a lot of care, which
yeah
is good. I mean, actually,
it's kind of an oxymoron.
it is. Yeah.
Like you want something to just fill a corner that you don't have to think about.
Exactly. And there are some plants that are great for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not succulents usually. So
no, my wife, she has that misconception. She has like the little windowsill above the sink. She puts her little cactuses and things like that up there, and she's like, I could kill anything, even a succulent. And I'm like, she just doesn't know. They take a little bit more TLC than maybe people realize.
Right. Yeah, they do. They're actually, succulents are so light sensitive that it doesn't matter like what kind of watering you do. It just all depends on the light.
Okay.
And we're in Ohio, so we don't
Yeah.
have the same light
No,
that
right.
they do in Arizona.
Yeah.
So
Definitely just like different UV stuff. And people just want it. It's exotic.
Right.
I had a client, if he's listening, I'm not trying to throw him under the bus, but he had all of the cactuses. Like, I went and checked his place out about a year and a half ago, and he sent me home with a couple of cactuses that I still have. And he had like 30 of these things.
Oh, wow.
Like, potted in like little like ceramic
Yeah.
pots. And I'm sitting there like, how in the hell did you make these? I'm like going through his house. I'm like, is it like a greenhouse? Like a UV light or something here? There's nothing.
No,
He just had them sitting in his garage.
Oh,
He'd like
geez.
open the garage, like a window, and somehow, I guess if there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you just never know.
Yeah, just a strange thing. So I wanted to ask you too. I was thinking about it the other night when I was like getting ready to, put some things together and come out here. Because my wife isn't really like a flower girl, but she likes to, like we were talking about, she likes to feel like a princess.
Oh, absolutely.
So she has to, and that's why. So I send her arrangements from here to her work, so that she can carry them out and feel like the belle of the ball. But I make her carry. The bigger the better, because I can only assume she's not a big woman. She's like under 5 feet. And when we sent her the big one that we sent last time, I think it was like $200. It's probably about half as big as she was.
Right.
She's just like, it had to look like a scene from a movie. Her trying to walk through the hospital with this thing.
Awesome.
What when Valentine's Day comes around? What does the flower shop lady ask for Valentine's Day?
Not flowers.
That's what I mean, right? And again, it's just like, I see those every day. You know what I mean? Like, ugh.
Actually, what I asked for Valentine's Day, and JP is just wonderful, is to not have anybody talk to me for at least 2 days.
That's okay. Yeah.
So that's the best gift I can get, is to get through Valentine's Day and not have to talk to anybody.
Because it's like nuts that time. I worked. I used to work at Kroger when I was younger, and then Target. I've done a couple Black Fridays at Target.
Oh, jeez.
So I can only assume that like it's got to be somewhat comparable Valentine's Day, like for you guys,
Yeah.
like that. It's got to be an absolute. What do you guys like? What's your kind of process with that? Like, I know there's a lot that goes into it, but just kind of like, how do you get prepared for like Valentine's Day?
Valentine's Day. And it's like, if we're going to compare, like if you compare Valentine's Day and Mother's Day,
Yeah.
Valentine's Day is easier in the sense that it's mostly roses.
Okay.
So we can, get the vases ready, get them greened, get all the, green stuff in there, and have that done like early, like a couple days beforehand, before we have to start putting the roses in.
Yeah.
So that, from that standpoint, that's easier. Mother's Day, you've got every flower imaginable that you're working with, so you can't prep as far in advance.
That makes sense.
But certainly the cards are much more fun at Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Some of the messages that we get are.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
It's like, I think we sent something for Valentine's Day to my wife, and I was like, "What did we write?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
That is always the hardest part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. There's so much stuff too anymore. Like, I sit up and play with. So when I was getting this kind of setup going, there's this thing. I don't know if you're hip to it. It's called Chat GPT.
Oh, that's how I did my website.
Yes. Thank
Yes.
you. Okay, good. So I'm trying to get him hip to it too. Like, I was on Halloween when we were kind of like doing our dress rehearsal, my brother and I was like, I need a 700-word story about a gopher, like zombie gophers that attack like a school campground. There needs to be like 3 or 4 fatalities, and it's to test a mic. So lots of P's, like lots of pops and ups and downs and things like that, so we can mess with the audio. And I was like, keep it under 500 words, and then there it was.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's how we do a lot of our cards, like that we send out to people anymore. And there's people like that do descriptions.
Yeah.
For like houses,
that makes a lot of sense.
which is kind of crazy. Like, I've done it a few times, but like when you start doing the descriptions, you're like, especially in ChatGPT, you're like 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, or whatever it is, 4-bedroom, 2.5 baths. We'll say 2,400 square feet. There's a pool, run about just under half an acre, 0.4 acres. New furnace, new air conditioner, new roof. Use some fancy words. We have an irrigation system. that's kind of a description right
Right.
there. You know what
Right,
I mean?
yeah.
So it's like,
How much more do you need?
yeah. And then they'll spit out all kinds of super articulate stuff, and you read it, and you're like, dude, this is like someone just like threw a thesaurus, or they can like
All these
Zillow.
big words.
Yeah, and it just looks ridiculous. So I don't know. There's definitely like, you got to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah. Well, when we do descriptions for the website, we with your SEO, with your website and
Yeah.
Google Analytics and all that, you just plug all that information in,
Yeah.
and it has helped my website sales just exponentially.
Oh, it's silly. Like,
Yeah.
it's nice that stuff is there. Like when I first got going into like this realm of things, like doing like videos and like long form like conversation things and putting them like on the internet.
Right.
The first place I started was like Squarespace, and it was super archaic, and this is like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So like now when I can go take all of the audio and just splice it together, and then Spotify has a home where I can just go and put the audio in there, and it'll just like shoot out to iTunes, Google Podcasts, any like off third party thing that you can think of.
Right.
It goes to all of them.
So what software do you use to edit?
It's called DaVinci Resolve,
Okay.
and it's free. And I used to use, it was called oh my gosh, it was like some movie maker, Corel Movie Studio. I paid like $60 for like the annual fee, and my computer at the time didn't seem like it was fast enough to make it work, but I think the program just wasn't very good.
Okay.
Because now I've had the same computer now for 4 years, so I got this DaVinci Resolve thing. I got hip to it, and it's a newer product, and it's like $500 for like the special one for a year of it. But you can go in there and just chop up everything, and like for this, like I've got the workflow down. Like if I learn any more, it's gonna mess it up. So I just like, there's nothing more to learn. But you can get nuts with it. Like you can do like zoom, like pan ins, outs.
Wow.
You can add different like effects. Like if like we're sitting here and I want to get like real into it, I can put like a dinosaur behind us.
Okay, that would be cool.
I'll
really
try
cool.
and do it and cut to like the middle camera and see if we can't get a
Okay, that
dinosaur
would be
behind
very
us.
cool.
Because you can get super insane with it, and it's free. Like you can just the only thing that you have to pay for really is with your time, like just learning it.
Right.
But it's a super neat product, and this is just fun to me. I like being able to like. I mean, real estate's fun. I like working with people. It's super fulfilling, and that's why I got into it when I did and why I did. But I also have like, I need to feel like I'm building something.
Yes.
And then at the end of the day, I can like stop and be like, I did that today.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
You feel something that you accomplished something.
Yeah, even if it's digital,
Right.
I have like a catalog of things I've done. Like, well, when we leave, I'll have this, and I can go put it on the computer and be like, cool, I did that today. I have a couple more this weekend. I can do the same thing. That way, it's not like, well, what'd you do today? When you like,
Right.
sit down, it's like, man, I didn't have it too productive of a day, but like, actually, you know what? I did.
Yeah.
There's me sitting in a flower shop talking. That counts for something, doesn't it?
It does. Yes. Yes.
But no, yeah, it's fun stuff. But yeah, the Squarespace thing is so much different, and that's crazy how fast the technology has gone from like. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. I mean, like when I kind of grew up with like the creep of technology.
Sure. Yeah.
So maybe I can't appreciate it as much as someone who didn't, because it went from like everyone said, like even my brother who's a little older than me, like it was like Atari, like
Right.
Sega.
The don't.
Yeah, and then like when you get to like 2000, it's just like
Yeah. It was fast.
yeah, like you go from like flip phone, cell phones to now it's like you have a small computer in your pocket,
Yeah.
like.
And the phone is the least important part of it.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, full disclosure, we're like recording on two phones. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And the camera's as good as, my $700 camera I have sitting over there.
Right.
Yeah, it's nuts how quickly that stuff has like changed.
Well, I know my sophomore year in college, I was the only person in my dorm floor that had an electric typewriter.
Yeah.
And like I paid for so much beer writing out that electric typewriter.
That's so cool.
And now I look
You've been an
at it.
entrepreneur forever. That makes sense. Okay.
Well, like my worst parenting moment was my parents gave me my old manual typewriter.
Yeah.
And when my boys were little, I just needed a break one day, and I told them I'd pay them $1 if they could find the on switch.
Yeah.
And so there's no on switches in manual typewriters.
Right. We had a guy. It was funny. A similar kind of story. we had a guy when we were working at Black Diamond that it was raining one day and they wanted us to stay in and keep working, so we were like building wheelbarrows. And I worked there with my dad, and my dad told this guy when he got finished that the wheel was on backwards. He's like, "No way, man! I just spent like an hour doing this." He's like, "Yeah, dude, you put it on backwards. Like, just look at it." And he's like, "Well, what do I do? You gotta take it apart." That poor guy took that whole wheelbarrow apart and turned the wheel around, and it's just
And it probably worked better.
It might have. I mean, I there might be something to it. You know, the treads are going one way or the other. You know, I don't know. Who does like the back end? You're kind of talking like the technology aspect of like the impressions and things like that. Who like monitors that stuff? Is that like, do you do all that or?
It's all in house here at the shop. We built the website basically. You know, we use a host.
Okay.
And yeah, we pretty much do it all here. Yeah. I had hired somebody a while ago to do it, and there's so many little weird intricacies with the flower end of things that it is
kind of one of those things like you kind of just need to learn it.
Exactly.
It's a bit of a chore, but like we had a coach talk to us about it, where especially with like social media, like good agents like don't need to learn social media, but you're gonna start getting beat by the agents that are.
Right.
Even if they're not better,
right.
they're just exposed more.
Yeah.
So I mean, so how many ladies do you have on staff?
7.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys all
7.
kind of just like pass the baton. Does people have like certain roles?
No, like my daughter-in-law, who actually lives down by Cincinnati, does all my social media posting and all that kind of stuff, which is amazing. She does a great job. And then with everybody else in the shop, Brooke Klinger is my manager.
Okay.
And she's amazing. I just love her. She's amazing. And she manages the shop. She knows how to design. She can do deliveries. And really everybody, because we're a small shop, everybody knows how to do a little bit of everything.
Sure.
Because we're too small not to.
But then when it gets booming, that's probably super helpful.
Yeah, and then there are like things. I've got Wendy, who's one of my designers, but she can also take orders and help customers, and like Kelsey can. Everybody in here can make a boutonniere, a corsage, and a small bouquet.
Yeah,
you just have to be able to do that. So. Yeah, no, we're too small.
It's like the bare minimum.
Exactly.
Like if you want to be a realtor, you got to know how to do a purchase agreement.
Yes.
Get out.
Yes. Or at least fake your way through it.
Yeah.
So, no, it's it's a curse and a blessing to be a small business owner.
Yeah.
And
I feel the same way about it as being a realtor. Like I love it to death.
Yes.
But then my phone's always going. It's just always, which is fine. If you're not busy, then.
Exactly.
A curse
then
and a
you're
blessing,
worried.
like you said.
Yeah, then you're worried about it. It's it'll be 7 years, and I can't imagine doing anything else. I cannot imagine ever working for anybody else.
I know.
Again.
Once you find your like niche.
Yes.
And it's like a thing that it's not work anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's how we've done our office. Like we have a putting green in there. I have a giant microphone that I use. And it's just an extension of home. You know, it's not going to work. It's just, I got to get moving.
Yeah.
Just got to get moving and just, that's not work. It's just I got to get moving.
Exactly. Well, I have my youngest son is in school right now getting his nursing degree.
Yeah.
And it's hard, and I can feel for him because he's like, well, what if I don't want to be a nurse? Or, what if I do this and it's not what I want to do forever and blah, blah. And it's like, I don't have any degrees in floral design. I've got lots of degrees in other things, but not in this. And when I graduated from college, I would have laughed if you would have told me I was going to own a flower shop.
Oh, yeah.
There's just no way. You don't know.
I've had so many crazy different jobs. Like I went to school briefly for 2.5 semesters for electrical engineering.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have known that unless I just told you.
Yeah.
Here I am being a realtor.
Exactly.
And then before I was a realtor, I worked at Jeep.
Okay. Yeah.
So if your son's watching, have no worries. It's all, it figures itself out. It
does. Well, and it's not like with my, my parents, you weren't at the same job for 30 years.
Mm-mm.
You change jobs now, except for JP. He's an anomaly.
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, people change jobs and they change careers, and the world is so big, and the opportunities that you don't even know are there.
Until they kind of just pop up.
Exactly.
Like I got into this, and anyone that listened to the last episode, I told the same story. But when we got into it, we were getting evicted from our house. Like we were butting heads with our landlord bad. He worked with my wife, and it was just a toxic situation. And I said some colorful words to him. So then he's decided to evict us, and she was pregnant at the time.
Oh,
so
geez.
super exciting for us. And I was like, man, this just feels wrong. So I'm gonna start learning about real estate, and then I did. And I said the exact same ism on the last episode, but I don't mind being the dumbest person in the room. I like learning a lot. I almost have like an affinity for it. But I don't like being treated like I'm stupid. That's a whole different thing.
Yes.
And that's kind of how he was treating us with this whole situation. So I just started learning it. And then we started shopping for a house to buy our own house. And not that our agent was doing anything bad, but I was like looking across the table. I was like, man, I could do that.
Yeah.
And then I just started getting into it. And then I was learning about it. And then, it just kind of has worked out. It's a very customer service-y. I can be around for the kids super often. Like, I help my wife get the kids out the door before I headed out to the office to get all of our stuff. I'm going to leave here and go to Olander Park for my nephew's birthday.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then I have 4 showings. Yeah. And then, it's just the life. It's like, it's not work, or kind of it's just another day. But yeah, so I mean, that's cool. So yeah, I think, this place is awesome. I'm mad that I didn't know about it until JP and I kind of got linked up. And the way we got linked up is even kind of funny. We have I call him my pupil, but I'm mentoring a young man named Tyler. He's here with us off screen. And the gentleman that I was mentoring with, JP was tugging on his shirt when he was kind of just trying to break into the inspection thing. And he's like, yeah, hit this guy JP up. I've done, a couple inspections with him. He's all right. And then, some folks don't say love at first sight is a real thing, but it's a weird thing that we kind of just clicked and we're just chums. We chum it up hard. We have a great time together. Yeah. But yeah, it was really just a quick little referral, and he did a couple of houses for me, and I've had other folks do a handful of houses that, we decided to go with this person, or we decided to go with this person. And it's just because Seagate and Toledo, everybody knows what Seagate.
Exactly.
They see Seagate, it's like we're doing that.
Yeah.
And they do a fine job. But, to his credit, to JP's credit, he will hold their hand and walk them through the whole thing. And that's what I told him is the reason I prefer you, and I'll tell you straight up, is because we're not really selling a house, we're selling the experience.
Oh, absolutely.
And the house is going to be the house.
Yeah.
We can negotiate the price for you a little bit, but the experience, you want it to feel like a warm hug at the end. And then when you get to the finish line, you want to be looked at man, this was great. I'm glad you could kind of shepherd us from, because it's super stressful for most folks. I mean, you guys just bought a house a couple years ago. By and large,
incredibly stressful.
By and large, it's the biggest purchase of most people's lives until they go to do it again. Right. Most people are buying up typically. So yeah, he just fits he fit the business model I wanted, and I think I kind of fit his, and I don't ever miss, just because it helps me be better. And he's just a plethora of silly offshoot Snapple facts.
Okay, you have to come and sit with him at Jeopardy.
I can only imagine. But
every night.
But those Snapple facts are so good, because then when I go to a listing appointment, or I'm out with a buyer, they're like, well, what do you think people are going to look at? And I'm like, well, I don't miss inspections, so we're going to be looking at X, Y, and Z.
Right.
This, that, and this is going to get flagged if we're around too much. For buyers, I do that same thing. We're looking at, this, and that. And then when we get back through and they have JP come by, they're like, oh, this is exactly what you said. And I'm like, I'm getting trained up, baby. I'm getting trained up. I'm not gunning for your job, but I've been listening. So,
yeah, he's amazing. He does a phenomenal job.
He does do a great job.
Yeah.
And, and it was funny. We were talking before when you were in the back, and she was like, are you his stepson or something? And I'm like, no, I've gotten that before though. And she was just like, yeah, I've heard your name tossed around enough. And I'm like,
right.
Yeah, that's kind of, we chum it up pretty hard.
Yeah.
We have a great time together. So
yeah, he loves working with you.
I'm glad. I try and be liked. It's, I don't know, but we do a good job. And there's nothing that we do together is ever there's no reason to be like head buddy about it. He
No.
knows like, and we've done enough together where it's like, the tact is built in there now. Where it's like, I'll tell him the deal before he walks in, so that he's not like
You're blindsided.
like, I bet your realtor could get you 10 grand for that roof. You know what I mean?
Right,
Which,
right.
in some cases I can.
Yeah.
But if it's tweaked the way that that we walked in the door and got the 10 grand already, there's no more wiggle room.
Right.
And then I'm gonna have to like stand there on the spot and be like, no, the roof is what it is. We already got the roof money. Like we're gonna have to deal with it. Like shh.
Right. Yeah, that's the quiet part. That's like
Yeah. And they'll just like look at me. I'm like, well, we already got 4%. 10 grand's more than zero, so I don't know.
That's true.
But no, it's a lot of fun, and you get to meet so many cool people, and he's one of them. And I've been blessed that he's been on most of my deals, and we've gotten to meet each other, and we've had some good times. You guys have helped sponsor some of my own personal events. Like last year, we rented out Mommy Indoor Theater, and that was an awesome turnout.
Yeah, that was a great.
That was
event.
a great time. After you guys left and the movie ended, we hung out there for another 2.5 hours.
Oh wow!
And we put like just giant fish up on the projector.
Yeah.
And let the kids go up there and just like dance. And all the parents sat in the back
so
and finished
fun.
up all the drinks. And yeah, it was an awesome time. People tug on my shirt about that all the time.
Yeah.
And then we do like the customer appreciation golf outing and things like that. And it's just cool to get like out and then re-see people, especially a lot of like JP and I's personal past clients.
Right, right.
And yeah, it's just a neat thing because most people don't think like, oh, this is just an inspector, but he's a part of what I do. So
Sure, the process, absolutely.
yeah, and it's nice to have like your team, so you can kind of just sit down and be like, you guys can work with whoever you want, but I'm telling you, it's gonna be super easy if we just do it like this.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get scared about needing to caulk some toe boards on your wall.
Exactly.
And then. He just does a good job. So and that's a lot of it. It's so scary, and so people are so ready to be like, just no change. I'm just gonna not do it.
Right.
No thanks. Oh, the door handle's shaky.
Exactly.
I better just what's that? There's got to be a rot. There's rot in the whole house. So
Yes.
I was thinking I've had. Speaking of rot, and we're in a flower store. Once upon a time,
I don't have any rot in the flower store.
no, but I've had when we were working at the other place, we had like mold get our flowers. Have you ever had like a shipment come in and be like,
Oh yeah.
that's so like another foreign kind of thing that people don't think about, where it's just like it could just happen if the temperature in the truck is off a little bit, right?
Yeah. Well, what happens most of the time is they'll get frozen and then thaw.
Yeah.
And that's where the mold comes from. And we can look at something and immediately know what the life cycle of
right once you get once you get the dance down.
Yeah, once it's what's and you really have to kind of fight to get your refunds.
I can imagine so.
And thank goodness for just being able to take pictures now and shoot the pictures to your wholesaler and
Yeah.
this really did happen, and because they've got a bottom line too.
Sure.
But yeah, you can't sell crap.
No. No, you can't. That's the truth. I did once when I was new, and I have one star review on my Google page. The rest are all 5. And everyone's like, you could go and get it removed. I'm like, no, it's kind of just a reminder to be better.
Right.
But yeah, it was a weird one anyways. They had a relative pass away during it, and so did I even. So it was super weird. The communication was way off.
Right. Probably very emotional.
And they just blamed me. I'm like, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
Just get me out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess before we kind of wrap up, what's the biggest order you've ever had? I know I was kind of thinking that because I know we can kind of call in and do fancy stuff pretty unexpectedly, but
biggest order, and I love this story, is we had a gentleman that would come in and buy flowers for his girlfriend, who was a basketball player at UT.
Okay.
And he would come in and buy me out. I mean, we would have to use zip ties.
That's so fun.
To get his bouquets and stuff together. And one day he was come in every week, and I was like, oh, and he told me about his girlfriend, and she was a basketball player, and I said, oh, well, do you play sports too? And he was like, yeah, I play football. I said, oh, do you play for UT or Bowling Green? And he was like, no, I play in the NFL.
Oh, cool.
So it was Derwin James.
Oh, how cool.
And Yeah.
Like the place for the Chargers?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, that's awesome.
Yes.
That's so
And
cool.
he would come in every week, every other week. And we were, for his girlfriend's graduation from UT, he had hand painted roses flown in here
That's
that we got to
awesome.
design. And we were going to do their her graduation party and their like engagement party. And they had rented out Mancy's, and then COVID. So it was right.
Oh.
Yeah, it was just like, oh. But yeah, that was.
As a Kansas City Chiefs fan,
Oh, no.
that guy is often the bane of my existence.
Yes.
2 times a year. So I'm very familiar with who he is, at least through a television screen. That is
Yes.
awesome. That's such a cool story.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I got nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
No. I've worked with a couple of electricians that have bought some high-end houses, No, that's a lot of fun, though. So, but yeah, as we kind of wrap up, I guess if you want shameless plug time, there's your camera. Let them know how they can find you, where you guys are at again, and if they want to place like online orders, maybe like some other events you guys might have coming up. And
Sure. Yep. We, like I said, we're at 3205 West Central Avenue, and
Oh, I did.
Yeah, the screen's black.
Oh no. That's okay. We'll fix it. I wonder how long it's been out.
I just came up and I saw that was black.
Oh well. We'll get the other one. Can you fix it? I can fix it.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
Yeah.
it's probably good. It's probably been out for a little bit actually. Oh, it's because this damn alarm went off. It might have been off forever. I'm gonna have to use a wide shot.
And that camera also off after
The other. There we go. It's okay.
that after the time.
This one? Oh yeah, that's gonna happen. No, it's fine. We have to clap again. I'll cut it. It's only beautiful. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Anyway,
okay.
shameless plug again.
Sure.
We just had a technical difficulty. Growing pains. It is only number 2.
Okay.
So,
All right. Great. Yep. Schramm's Flowers and Gifts. We are at 3205 West Central Avenue, right by Cricket West. Yeah, it's holiday season. Give us a call. You can call us. Our number is 419-535-0065. You can find us online at shrammsflowers.com. Yeah. Just let us know what you need. We're here. So.
I know I will. It's great stuff. I am so happy, and thank you for making time for us.
Yes,
and
this
letting
was
us
so much
occupy your
fun.
space.
So much fun.
This has been a lot of fun. I'm
Yeah.
glad that this wasn't like a funeral. It's just
No,
like,
me
it's
too.
much better energy.
Yes.
So thank you so much for listening, everybody. This is the Best in the Business podcast. I'm Kyle, and if you need any help buying or selling, or have any questions about anything with your house, her husband's an inspector. He's a good friend, obviously, if you got this far. So thanks for listening, and we'll talk to everybody soon. Bye.